You can think of SmartSuite as a product that basically brings together both the relational database side and the project management side into one core platform. So you're going to see things that you probably noticed in Notion, Coda, ClickUp, Monday, Asana, Rike, Airtable, ServiceNow, like all of those things kind of combined into a core platform. This is our homepage. Our homepage allows each individual user to come in. They can edit the kind of the display information across the top, make things a little more personalized to them. This is tracked at the user level. On the page itself, in my workspace, these are called solutions, what you call bases. A solution is just a collection of apps. Think of it as a collection of tables to solve a particular business use case or project that's there. I can star these items that are here and move them back up into my favorites panel. So for organizations that have lots and lots of processes, kind of like this, it's pretty common that people will favorite their items to show kind of what they work on each day that's there. They can also quickly change the format of the display of those. They can also search for those very quickly to kind of find different solutions that they might want to work on. I'm going to use Sales CRM just as kind of an example. It's really high level, but I thought it'd be just a good way to kind of show off some of the feature sets that are here. So everything they're seeing here is probably pretty typical to all the relational database tools. We've got our solution name, our app names. I can click on the solution to see a listing of all the different configuration options that the creator has when setting this up. I can do the same thing at the application level to kind of see ways I can bring data in, create new tables, new fields, set permissions, those types of things. This level here is just called our toolbar, pretty similar to Airtable in that this allows you to look at all the fields that have been set up in this particular app accounts, decide which fields you want to actually display in the current view that you're looking at, and then we provide all the different view types that you're probably that you're already familiar with that's here. And what's unique about us is I can change the view type through the toolbar without needing to change the entire view, the report itself that's up here. So if I just want to say, hey, I'm looking at this and I just want to see the information in a calendar right now, and then I want to flip back to grid view, we allow you to kind of do that in context that's here. And then we have all the same share type features that most products have, where I can share the information that's in this particular view with somebody outside the organization that's there. Where things get a little different is on two things. First, on our field type. So if I wanted to add a field type to this view, this shows the 44 field types that we have available. I can open this up and get kind of a summary of each of these field types. I could break them down kind of by category, maybe by type that's here. All the similar things that you're used to at Airtable. We'll have some more advanced features around things like SmartDocs, which is like embedding a Google Doc as a field type. You can have multiples of those. We do things like full name and address fields that aren't just a text field like you have currently. It's actually a combination of 6 or 7 different fields. So let's say I want to add a address field here. It says, okay, how do you want to display it? Do you want to show each individual element as a field type, or you just want to show it on a single line? And do you want to include a map below the field so that when you're viewing this in a record, people can actually see the location that's there? So if I say, hey, I want this to be multi-line, add the field type. Once I add it, when I click in, then you can see as I add the data, it breaks it up into all the elements. So these are called compound field types, and we have quite a number of those types of fields that make it very easy for somebody to set up a single address in a click. And in Airtable, maybe you have to do 7 or 8 different fields and then combine those together, those types of things. When you go to display fields, from like an address field, we also allow you to pick the information. So you could say, I want to display all the information, or I just want to display the street, the city, and the state. You can see here how we're smart enough to break those out individually that's there. And then we do things like, if you type in an address, you can type in address and we'll go ahead and find that for you, pull it in, and then give you the geo coordinates associated with that. So field types is one of the bigger items that kind of begins to set us apart. Some unique things that we have that you haven't seen maybe in Airtable is a voting field type, tag field type, social networks. We have all the project types of fields where you need to do assignments that have due dates that include a duration. Maybe you're tracking % complete with the status. maybe you have a checklist of items to get done, or you need to actually track time, that people like a time tracking log that's there. And then more advanced things, I think all of these, with maybe a few exceptions, maybe Airtable doesn't have a signature field, a color picker, and an IP address, but I think you have the rest of those. But those are the base field types. Where things start to get more interesting for us is when I click into a record. So I'll click into this first record. So this is what we call a record in SmartSuite, is just a collection of fields. What's different about us is that you can set this up so that all fields are always displayed when somebody clicks into a record. We don't just bring back the fields that are in the view that's there. And then if I want to organize this information, I just drag and drop it around if I'm a creator to organize it the way that I want. You can add sections like I'm showing here of information, and you can expand and collapse those sections, which is pretty common. You can decide if you want sections like this collapsed by default, so that each time a user comes in, maybe you want to show them the general information, but you want to then collapse the other information but have it kind of in categories that are there. If you want to add a new field and you're on this page, you just click, you get the same form or field capabilities that I just talked about prior, as I kind of set up these different field types. You'll also notice that some of our field types, let's look at linked record here. I'm going to go in and just say modify field settings. This is the same for pretty much every field type that we have. We have display formats, and you can pick the display format that you want to show for that individual field at that time. So in this case of a linked record, our relationship on your side, we have a compact, a simplified, kind of a standard, and an extended. So if I click this over to compact and say update, you'll see the information here in the record just updated to kind of show this compact. So we give you lots of different view options for each individual field type that you'll see in here. I'll give you another example. This is just a single select list. Same way, I can display it with a color dot with a pill, a color background. I could add an icon with a color in front, or just text only. Depending upon that selection, I say I want to have an icon, then we then show you the icons, and you can pick from a list of quite a number of different icons and set colors for things that are in there. We also do some advanced features for some fields like this. That's pretty common. So you click on this guy here, it opens up a list of our single values list. But it would say maybe I'm actually want to run calculations or some type of a survey where I would have values that are associated with the selection of these fields. So what just happens here when I add these values is now in any formula that we have, it will associate this value with this field. So you don't have to write a second formula to associate the values and then sum them. It just happens automatically, which happens in a lot of risk assessments. You also have the ability to turn on things like descriptions. So I could add a description here. And now every time this values list is shown on the page, it will show the description underneath it for the user. And then we have predefined lists as well, where if you're working with things, maybe like countries, and you don't want to have to type this in every time, you could just say import. You see we just imported that list. You could then go into the list and modify it based on the information that you need. So there's a lot more around this side on field types, but just wanted you to kind of understand a little more enterprise level on the field type components, as well as just the configuration of the information that's on this page. We also allow you to pick from different page styles. So I could come in here, and what we're looking at now is a 2-column 50-50. If I wanted to change this to feel more like maybe Airtable with a single column, it just took all that same information, put it in a single column for me. I could do the same thing with 70-30, which is quite popular. So it takes all the large format fields, puts them on the left, and takes all of the small fields on the right. This doesn't look great the way that I've got it organized, but if I wanted to change it, I would just move things around very quickly here. This field type here is a checklist field type. I just wanted to mention very quickly, so I could come in, type in a list of things that I wanted somebody to do. I could give it a due date, let's say of tomorrow. I could assign that to myself, add the item. I could add as many of these checklists as I want. I could have them preset, so when I create a new record, it brings in the checklist items, but then when you check them off, we auto capture the status of this. And again, you can do some of this in Airtable, but you have to actually write formulas and do some fancy stuff to capture this. We just give you that directly out of the box that we're trying to do. So hopefully that is a very fast overview of field types. talk about a couple of other things that are a little different. So on our permissioning model, we permission at the solution level, right? So you can, the creator, the owner of the solution, in this case myself, has the ability to set the permissions on who can view this, both at the solution, at the app, and at the field level. So I could change this and say, I want everybody in the account to have access to this. I could say I only want these particular teams, and I could pick the teams, maybe sales, marketing, that might be, or I could do advanced. And this is more common. So I could come in here and say, I want to take a particular user, and these are the different levels of access that they can get. What's different from us, from a lot of the other tools, is we do record level permissions, meaning if I came in and said, John is assigned the assignee role, this means that I can view and edit content that has been assigned to me through the assigned to field, but I cannot create, view, or edit any other content. So think if I had a list of customers, if I was an agency and I had all the customers coming into my instance, but I only wanted that customer to see records associated with them, it was very simple. I just take an assigned to field, which is like this account manager field here. I make the selection of who can see it, either a person or a team, and then it automatically sets the permissions when I log in. So all this information would go away except for anything that has my name or a team that I'm assigned to that. I could go into a lot more detail, but it gets even more granular than that if you need to with these different types, all the way down to the viewer and the commenter piece. When you do assign work to somebody, let's look at maybe opportunities here. And let's jump into one. If I actually assign something to somebody with a due date and a priority in a record, and I could do this in any solution in SmartSuite, you can do a single click up here for my work, and it brings back a list of all of the tasks that you've been assigned by due date across every solution that we have in one place. Obviously, this is a demo account, so I don't have great data to show here, but this would show a listing of all of the work items assigned to me. I could click into that work item, and as soon as I click, it opens up the record like this for me to maybe do my update, change the status, and then I could come here and use the next to go to the next item in the list, kind of work through my queue of information that's there. One of the features that we use quite often, we'll see if it's in here, is what we call a SmartDoc field type. We'll just tell you what, I'll flip over to our own account, and to change accounts, you just click here. It brings back a list of all the accounts that you have access to. I'm just going to show you our own personal account that we have. I'll click in software development. I'll just kind of look at some things that we're doing today. I can click into one of these records that the team is working on, and you can see in the context of a field type, we have full document capabilities that's here. So this description is what we call a SmartDoc field type. So all the traditional items, as well as / where I can get really complex and add tables and videos and records, attachments, checklists, just all kinds of things. Insert tables of contents and such. So each one of these can be its own individual document with all those capabilities, but it's embedded directly into the field itself. Hopefully that makes sense. So let me flip back to the demo account with you. Two other quick items that I just want to show you is by default, we have a member directory. So I can click here. I can see a list of all the people that are in my account. And let me change this to all members. So when a user logs in, you can define kind of what they see here based on their role. But this, let's say if you have 1,000 people in your company that have access to SmartSuite, all their information will show up here. If I wanted to look at Emma, this is Emma's profile that she set up where she's sharing both personal and business information if she chooses to with folks. But this allows then people to come in and actually do searches across all the fields of data that's here, or we provide some defined reports. So maybe you wanted to see a listing of people in the company by department or location, or I just want to know who's online or the role they have in SmartSuite, maybe by their time zone, or I could do a search. Maybe I was looking for somebody that was interested in fitness like Emma, so it just searched through all these records and brought this back. If I was a software development company, maybe I was looking for somebody with JSON experience. It would help me kind of search through certifications, skills, those types of things that are there. The last item that I'll hit just very quickly is on our view types. We're pretty similar, I think, to what you have. We may have one or two more options in a few places that's there. Our dashboards is probably the one that's probably a little more unique in that it brings together the concepts of what you used to call like an extension, which was kind of a dashboard, but also your new interfaces capability. So we provide all of that in context of a dashboard itself. So with just the exception of one or two formats that you have an interface that we're working to add, all of that is available here in a dashboard, and I just select items. Let's say that I wanted to do a progress metric. We just allow you to come in, pick the field value that you want, how you want to do it, add the widget, put in the goal, say it's 100, and then we kind of create that on the fly for you. Then you organize these on the page however you want. The more interface related things of interacting with data, a little more complex than this, but this is just the easy way of how you set that up. Man, there's a lot more, but I've hit my 15-minute mark that I wanted to kind of hold to. But hopefully that gives you an idea of how SmartSuite kind of plays in the overall space of productivity, no-code platforms, work management, business operating system, those types of things, and how we compare against